Hello, Robs. We're back with more books. I believe this is New Book Arrivals number 197. Start out with the Pokemon books I got for my child. As I mentioned in the last one, said child still collects. Is a bit, what's the word, opposed to me getting the childish ones, but I still get them anyways because, as I've stated, you might as well collect them all. These are pretty cool. Very good shape. So that's that. I guess if you really wanted to look at them, Scyther, Heart of a Champion, Psyduck, Ducks Out, and Race to Danger. Scholastic editions. Goosebumps Monster Survival Guide. All the tips and tricks you'll need to fight an invasion of your hometown. Since I have a ton of Goosebumps books that I bought for the stated child some years back that were never utilized, I still have them and will eventually sell them, I guess, since I'm not collecting them for myself or keep them for a prospective bookstore. But I don't know if this book has any value. Don't care. Got it for the collection of books I already have. Actually, I gave some of these away to one of my coworkers, and his children are now using them. This book I picked up because it's got a cool cover, and it turns out to be worth some money, so I'll probably sell it for $10 on Feebay. See if it's signed or anything. Did not check. Michiko Aoyama was born in 1970 in Aichi Prefecture, Japan. So she's, 54 and still writing somewhat. These children's books? I guess not. Maybe they're not. I mean, that's kind of emo, if nothing else. Maybe it's just the illustrations that are cartoonish. Anyway, I'll make $10 off this book. That'll pay for this whole stack for the most part. Although half these I don't think I paid for because my mother was with me and she wanted to pay for them. So I was like, all right, sounds great. Sounds like a great plan, moo-moos. More of these bastard stickers that I loathe. I gotta say, the thrift stores are really starting to get more expensive. Bought some books that were $2 today, but not many. And only because they're old. And because they had cool features to them. My best friend's Exorcism, which is ridiculous enough to get just on the merits, on that merit alone, regardless of if the book is any good. Good as a novelty book. I do believe it's kind of a popular book. Horror story, since I have a lot of horror story books. Bumblebee. The life story of the friendly bumblebees and their use by the backyard gardener. Brian L. Griffin. Quite a few bumblebee books now. Did want to be a beekeeper at some point, but then I was like, that's work, too much work. And I gotta get a bee suit and all that bullshit. So I was just like, I'm not gonna be a bumblebee keeper. 1997. Don't know if it's worth anything. Don't really care. Would have bought it regardless. Madame Sadiyako, the geisha who bewitched the West. Geisha and Bewitched were enough for me to pick it up, since I have a few books about geishas, and I have many books about bewitching. The geisha aspect I don't really have much interest in, but since I have a collection of white slavery, which was basically sex slavery, abductions in late 1800s and early 1900s, and also books on prostitution, etc. This is kind of in between of those, more or less an artistic pornography. Hookers on Parade. All our hidden gifts. This falls into the also paranormal-esque. Not worth very much. Probably shouldn't have got it, but never seen the book, and it's kind of laughable, but Carolyn O'Donoghue kind of looks like a tarot card. Ghostly menace, queer liberation, and sweet non-binary romance all find room in this modern Irish contemporary. I mean, yeah, it's got everything that you could imagine for the modern. Yeah, see, I told you, look like a damn tarot card. Everything for the modern human. To delude themselves with. I laugh. She's right. Ro is entitled to hate me, but she's still right. Thanks, I say. Thanks, I say, too. Verses I Like by Major Bowes. I think he's just the editor, obviously. If they're verses he likes, he couldn't have written them all. But it's not unheard of either. Catherine Irwin. Paid $2 for it. Wasn't really worth it, but then there's this in the back I'll show you. Thought there was an inscription in this book too. Maybe it's in the other one. Maybe it's in Little Women. I think it's from 1937. But there was this Zybart's Books, Nashville. And there was also a bookstore receipt from 87. Verses I Like. Somebody sold it for $5. That will put this price on there. I don't know what the 50-cent one was, but now I know where the $5 book cost was. 1987, did I say? Yes, May 1987. 37 years ago. This book retailed for $5, I would say. Probably does still. Little Women, another $2 book. I believe this is a sticker. So I shouldn't be very careful on this so it doesn't mar any of it. I hate that they do it. Yeah, see, it got the corner. Sons of bitches. Little Women, Louisa M. Alcott. This one has a photo of a kid in it. Don't know who he is. Obviously, Grosset and Dunlap. I believe it's 1920s. It says 15, but I believe it's the 20s, maybe even 1930. Actually, I would say maybe 35, 40, because it has a Hudson's Bookshop label at the back of it, and I'm going to guess that it was 1930s. The spine label is somewhat coming off. Grosset and Dunlap. You get some moisture exposure there, but you got a pretty cool front cover sticker. West with Giraffes. Linda Rutledge. Don't know anything about it, but when I looked it up on one of the sites, I think it was Thrift Books, it said that it had like a $3 resale value. So then I looked it up on eBay. It's got about a $10 price tag. So I'll probably sell that too. Not only recover my money, but make a little money off it, even though it's got some spine creases. It don't seem to affect the integrity of the book. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. And my nose is running. How Capitalism Saved America, The Untold History of Our Country from the Pilgrims to the Present, by Thomas J. DiLorenzo, enough to enrage half society. Here's the real history of our country, how capitalism saved America, explodes the myths spun by Michael Moore, the liberal media, Hollywood, academia, and the rest of the anti-capitalist establishment. I doubt it explodes it, because to explode it, you need to convince a person, but most people won't be convinced. They believe socialism is going to be the answer to history. And they found out rather quickly from the anti-capitalist COVID shutdowns and passing out of free money that there are consequences to taking fiat money and multiplying it and giving it out for free. Back at that time, the mantra was, we can just print in more. They got tons of money to pay for wars and this and that. As you see, we didn't have tons of money to pay for wars and shutdowns. And now everything costs twice as much because we gave out free money, which was already being charged interest and usury, because it is a anti-capitalist form of cash, not backed by any tangible asset. The Wichita Divide, the murder of Dr. George Tiller, and the battle over abortion. I believe there was a murder in here. Yes, Topeka native Scott Reeder, I believe his name was, walked into Reformation Lutheran Church in Wichita, Kansas, drew a .22 caliber pistol and killed Dr. George Tiller at point blank range. Tiller, who specialized in women's health and was America's best-known practitioner of late-term abortions, had been a lightning rod for controversy. He was shot twice in an attempt on his life. In 1993, protesters had staged an 1,800-day vigil outside his clinic, and he was regularly referred to in conservative media as Tiller, the baby killer. Tiller's death was not an isolated act of bloodshed, but a pivotal event in a deepening civil war that's raged across America for decades. It's a war of violently opposing ideologies being fought in our nation's courtrooms, at schools, and in churches, on TV sets, at dinner tables. Listen, you want to have a child sacrifice? You go and do it. Just take me off that illegal, anti-capitalist, income tax thievery ring, and you can do whatever. You can even eat your kids if you want. Just let me off the leash of indentured servitude, and I don't care what you do. Don't care. The Birthday Party, a memoir of survival by Stanley N. Alpert. On January 21st, 1998, federal prosecutor Stanley Alpert was kidnapped off the streets of Manhattan. This is the story of what happened next. Too wild to be fiction. Car full of gun-toting thugs looking to use his ATM. Was he killed? Or did he write it? Oh, he wrote it, so unless he's a mother effing ghost, he is not dead. Well, at least not at the time of the writing. A true crime story, most likely to succeed. Multiple murder and the elusive search for justice in an American town by Alan Gelb. Violence was foreign to the bucolic upstate New York town of East Chatham to the night of December 13th, 1986, when a family was massacred on a quiet back road. No one may ever know precisely what happened in the log cabin of Robert Gates that long cold night, but when it was over, Gates, a popular local businessman, was dead, along with his longtime living girlfriend Cheryl, his 19-year-old son Bobby Jr., and a 3-year-old orphan nephew. The sheriff tearfully told reporters the crime scene was worse than anything he'd seen in Korea. Before the sun rose that morning, Wiley Gates, the dead man's 17-year-old son, salutatorian of Chatham High School, vice president of his class, sure to be voted most likely to succeed, was alleged to have confessed to the 4 murders. Great. My mother should enjoy that one. And I think that's it. That's all. Goodbye, bruv. Goodbye.